Tonight, a Warnerton farmer praised for preventing a fire disaster and extra cruise ships to dock in Port Lincoln amid coronavirus fears.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Hello everyone. A quick-thinking cattle farmer has prevented a major disaster when his hay shed caught alight early this morning in Warnertown. CFS crews are praising his quick-thinking actions, confirming combustibles were to blame for the blaze.
Thick smoke billowing from this farm just south of Port Pirie.
Haystacks caught alight with some spontaneous combustion. It looks like the rain from back a few weeks ago has got into it.
This farmer and owner of the property desperately working alongside CFS crews to keep the blaze under control. His major thought protecting his precious cows, but what couldn't be saved though, almost $100,000 worth of hay.
Yeah, we got to feed cattle with it, stud cattle. But you know, we'll have to work around it.
Authorities warning residents of thick smoke blanketing the area.
Just be aware that it's there and not to panic.
The quick-thinking farmer did what he could to prevent the spread of the blaze, a move praised by authorities.
Extreme fast reaction to start minimising the fire by getting rid of some of the unburnt bales they've really helped it a lot.
They'll continue to monitor the blaze until it's completely out.
Look out for the windy side and stop the sparks from going.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
With growing fears of the coronavirus spreading across the globe, some Australian cruise ships have decided to cancel all upcoming international trips in a move labelled unprecedented. Port Lincoln is one of several regions set to benefit from the move though, with 3 extra ships set to dock in the town.
After 24 terrifying days, passengers still remain stranded on board the coronavirus-stricken cruise ship, the Diamond Princess. The boat now serves as a warning for other cruise ship companies, with some of Australia's own boats cancelling all international trips.
A lot of cruise companies have decided to stay around Australian waters and stay in Australian ports for the time being.
Port Lincoln is one of several coastal communities set to benefit from the move, with 3 extra cruise ships set to drop anchor in the town.
A couple of them are from international areas, but a lot of them have spent a lot of time in Australia.
So far, there's been 3 reported cases of the disease in South Australia. Regular health checks for all passengers and visitors will be conducted in an effort to contain the spread of the deadly disease.
Border Force put in place preventative measures. You can't actually get on board a ship or a plane unless you pass their screening. So there is quite rigorous screening in place. Obviously the government's taking this very seriously and putting in place every measure they possibly can.
The Seven Seas Marina will be the next ship to drop anchor in the town on the 1st of March. Nathan Regatta, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Whalers Discovery Park has showcased its brand new accommodation in a bid to boost tourism numbers across the town. The tourism focus group supporting the new facilities after the ongoing effects of the coronavirus and bushfires have seen a recent drop in tourists.
It's the latest feature in this developing still city. 38 brand new superior studio rooms at Discovery Park, encouraging a tourism push.
A huge focus for us has always been on our tourism and making sure that we look after our people who travel and caravanners in our remote and regional areas especially.
Discovery Holiday Parks are part of a collateral agreement with Tourism Australia. So there was 76 million allocated from federal government money, and we're going into a really big campaign nationally across our 280 parks.
The rooms reused from their Darwin Park, all freshly revamped and equipped with brand new washing machines and dryers.
We started the process back in October last year, so it's actually been quite a quick turnaround.
The park showcasing the rooms to the Whyalla Tourism Focus Group following a recent plunge in tourist numbers.
I think what's going on in the industry at the moment with regards to the bushfires and coronavirus, you know, regional tourism focus is really shifting.
We are hearing of people kind of reducing some of their travel or just reorganising where they're travelling travelling and when they're doing that. So we really want to sort of promote the fact that we haven't been affected, while it certainly is still vibrant and still got some great opportunities to see and do things.
The event promoting the importance of home holidays and encouraging families to travel throughout our region, seeing what beautiful sights are on offer.
Our cuttlefish season's only months away, so we really want to showcase the fact that we're still an opportunity to visit, and we still want to welcome those visitors and travellers through to sort of share our little world and space.
Holiday, come and stay with us. Certainly look after our friends that have had tragedy with the bushfire, but don't forget the Eyre Peninsula.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A 21-year-old Snowtown man has appeared in court for the manufacture of a firearm and possessing one without a licence. Police raided his home on Monday afternoon following an investigation. He was arrested and charged, and 22 calibre firearms were seized. He's been granted bail and is expected to appear in Adelaide Magistrates Court in May. A 17-year-old Port Lincoln boy has suffered neck and leg injuries after an attack last night erupted in a front yard. Police were called to Queen Street just after 7 o'clock with reports a teenager armed with a knife had cut the victim. Patrols quickly swarmed the area and arrested the boy, while the victim was taken to hospital and discharged a short time later. The 17-year-old accused has been granted bail and will be due to appear in the Port Lincoln Youth Court in April. It's understood the pair was known to one another. Still to come tonight, all the action from the final day of the Lincoln Week Regatta, and excitement builds as Whyala's Kart Club prepares for its big race. Welcome back. Dozens of yachts have hit the water in Port Lincoln for the final day of the Lincoln Week Regatta. Matt Allen's Ichiban remains top of the leaderboard, while Adelaide favourite Secret Men's Business follows close behind.
Sailors preparing their yachts for the final day of the 70th Lincoln Week Regatta. This year's event labelled one of the biggest and most competitive in its history, with some of the best sailors and yachts in Australia competing.
I'd go so far as to say it's the highlight of the South Australian yachting for the year, probably. So the 70th year, we just wanted to make it as good as and better and build on from previous years, and I think we have.
A low wind at the start of the week put a dampener on the first day of racing, but in typical Port Lincoln fashion, the sun quickly came up and the sails began to blow. 2 races were underway by the afternoon as the fleet of 38 strong yachts competed in the bay.
We've been going pretty well. The boat's been going as fast as we can get it to go. We're running 4th in IRC, which is a division that we want to win. If we have a couple of good races today, we could sneak up the leaderboard, hopefully.
This year introduced a separate division for the Maxis and TP52s. Matt Allen's Ichiban and Chinese Whisper trying to get the win behind their sails as they battle for first.
It's very close racing between Ichiban, Chinese Whisper and Secret Men's Business. At this stage, it's pretty close to call, really.
Ichiban remains on top of the ladder for IRC, with Adelaide favourite Secret Men's Business close behind. Today's final race, the last chance for some of the yachts to crawl up the ladder.
We've got 2 windward lewards, which is sort of the Olympic style course, 2 short races, and that's it. It's straight out the front of the marina here. Conditions are fairly mild, it's only 10 to 15 knots, so it should be a pretty good day out there.
A presentation dinner tonight at the Lincoln Hotel will crown the winner for this year's regatta. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The Whyala Kart Club is gearing up for this year's Festival State Cup, hosting the second round of the tournament. Hundreds of tourists are expected to attend, with competitors participating from across the state.
Gone in a flash. These 2 14-year-old professional go-kart drivers preparing for a big event in May.
It's been something I've done since I was 5, 6. It's always been a part of us, always been travelling, doing racing.
First race of the year, it gets a bit scary, nervous because you haven't been out here in a while. But after that, nerves go away and it becomes more natural.
The friends who share one passion, fierce competitors on the track.
Pushes me to go a bit faster around the track and try and do my best out there.
Describing the sport one way.
It's exciting, yeah, definitely adrenaline rush.
Braden encourages others to try out, saying it's a good way to de-stress.
Yeah, well, once you're out there, everything just goes away and you focus on one thing. it's pretty good.
Very proud of Braden when he's out there racing. Does a really good job, puts in 100% and starting to get some really good results now. So yeah, really proud.
Braden acting as a role model to other young drivers.
He's always hanging around the little kids, helping them out, giving them advice. Yeah, he's a good kid.
While this grandmother is encouraging more women to take up the sport.
It'd be good because she's got a younger girl that races in cadets, but it'd be nice, yeah, to get the girls involved.
The club hold regular Bring a Mate events where they encourage new people to give go-karting a try, especially those thrill seekers.
Come and try those, which is the first step. And if people like that, they can come along and get a kart and get more involved.
The perfect outlet for those who have a real need for speed.
They'll have a race around in our club karts, which are behind me. They're 7 horsepower, 4-stroke club karts. A proper racing kart is normally 2-stroke.
Those who wish to join in the fun here at the Whyalla Go-Kart Club can come along to their next race meeting with more information listed on their website. The club will provide a helmet, gloves and a suit just like this for your first try.
Good fun, good thing to get into, cheap sport, it's pretty good.
Sophia Contigonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Broken Hill Festival will soon be in the national spotlight as preparations ramp up for this year's Mardi Gras parade. The event will be broadcast on free-to-air TV with a viewing party being held at the Palace Hotel.
From the Silver City to the world, the Broken Hill Festival ready for another go-around at Mardi Gras, and there's only one place to watch it.
We're hundreds and hundreds of kilometres away, but we're still just a part of it as everybody else, which is amazing.
The Broken Hill Festival will take part in Saturday's Mardi Gras parade in Sydney, the festival's 3rd appearance. This year's float remains a mystery, a concept photo giving just a glimpse of what it may be like. The festival director excited about how much attention the event will receive.
They're taking the geo-blocking off the live streaming, so, this will be getting broadcast to an international audience, so, probably millions.
It'll also be the first time the parade is broadcast live on free-to-air TV. The Palace Hotel, one of 8 venues in the country to host an official Mardi Gras party.
We'll be doing games and drag shows and trivia and all sorts of things to make the night fun as we watch and celebrate.
The Palace party kicks off at 6 o'clock with the Mardi Gras parade starting at 7. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Businesses go green to help the environment, and airport security upgrades given the green light in Broken Hill. Welcome back. A Port Augusta business is making a number of workplace changes in a bid to become more eco-friendly. They're implementing a range of ways to reduce their waste, with hopes to inspire other businesses in the region.
Going green for a good cause, a local optometrist making a switch to help the planet. Introducing a range of less wasteful initiatives in the workplace to reduce their footprint.
Wherever possible, using less energy, less products and recycling as much as possible, reusing as much as possible. Obviously the world does have some level of finite resources and it's great if we can do our bit.
Hoping their efforts will have a spillover effect.
A lot of people are amazed at some of the things that we have here, like the eco toilets, and then we can also explain to them what else we do in the business. I guess that can trigger something and they might like to do that at home if they want to.
Not only have they become less wasteful, in some cases they're actually helping the environment firsthand.
We order all of our printer ink through Eco Supplies. Every purchase that we make, they plant a tree on our behalf.
Switching to help combat excessive use of products and get as much use out of them as they can.
A lot of plastic from packaging, demo lenses from the frames, and a lot of paper usage as well.
Local residents confident that if businesses show how green they are, the community can take these initiatives into their own homes.
You can see, displayed the certificate of what this business is currently doing. I definitely feel like that would inspire them in one way or another to be thinking a more sustainable and wanting to put those practices into place.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Broken Hill's local airport will receive some much-needed security upgrades following last night's council meeting. The airport's problems with wild animals getting onto the tarmac soon to be a thing of the past.
A restricted area that's not that hard to get into. At last night's monthly meeting in confidential matters, councillors awarded the tender for major security works around the city's airport.
It was a key project. It was a safety and security issue.
Sections of the airport's perimeter have low fencing, creating a headache for airport staff if wild animals gain access. Now upgrades will ensure the site stays safe.
Kangaroos and emus able to access the airstrip through the fence that's there, and they cause all sorts of problems for not only our rangers but for planes, the RFDS, Rex and small pilots.
Improving the airport's lighting will also cut back on operating costs and deter trespassing vandals. Another positive spend coming from the meeting, money going to the Norm Fox Oval to improve its surface.
We've put $200,000 into the budget now to look at the irrigation system and returfing.
Council also looking at forming a master plan for the Oval to highlight further developments in the future. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
As Clean Up Australia Day approaches, local groups are taking registrations to help clean up Port Augusta. Councils around the region will be rolling out a free dump day in a bid to encourage residents to discard of their waste appropriately.
A national event to help clean up our cities held this Sunday.
It's about being more conscious of our environment, and part of that is actually appropriate disposal of waste.
Communities from across the Gulf pitching in, including here in Port Augusta.
I think it's good to have one day a year where the community comes together and focuses on cleaning up. Obviously it might put the idea into people's head as well to do it on a regular basis.
The clean-up will take place on the west side of town near the Shoreline Caravan Park. Organisers wanting as many people as possible to attend and help clean up the mess.
Just trying to get as many community members as we can to come down and help out for an hour or two.
The shoreline covered in rubbish from glass to plastic containers.
So obviously if people see the amount of rubbish that is collected, it might make them think to be a little more mindful about where their rubbish goes and whether they're recycling and reducing waste.
Port Augusta has seen a number of illegal dumpings in recent times.
It's about being more conscious of our environment, and part of that is actually appropriate disposal of waste.
The council taking steps to reduce dumping by rolling out a free dump day.
So residents of Port Augusta can take their waste to the waste transfer station on Footner Road, and they can benefit from the free dumping.
Residents in other areas, such as Port Pirie, will also be able to discard of their waste on this day for free. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, we'll have this week's fish and tips and the weather with Brit. Hello again. Now let's hear from the experts with this week's fish and tips.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips. There's some great news that I've had just recently over this week. There's been a few King George whiting caught. Now, what you do have to look at is on your sounder, look at the temperature and all that sort of stuff. You'll have to go towards shallow waters, broken ground. You will find yourself some King George whiting as well. Don't forget the yellowfin should be around the place from Talawi Beach right through to Barrows Beach. You should have a good run with those ones. Blue swimmer crabs in Port Pirie have been a bit slow, but a little bit further north they are starting to crank up again. So maybe a little journey over the weekend might be just what the doctor ordered. That's all we've got this week. We'll see you next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, the crabs are still here and in good numbers as well. Quite solid at the moment. Razorfish out in the middle banks aren't too bad at all. There are some odd fish getting, there's some flathead getting caught in the weed banks up in Port Patterson, and also a couple of flounder getting caught in around the powerhouse area as well. Try for salmon on the troll. There are some kingfish around and there are a couple of tuna floating around as well. That's all we have for the Jewel of the North.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. In the bay there's been some good blue crabs around, not massive numbers but really good sized crabs, so most guys are catching half a dozen for a feed. There's been some garfish in the bay, also down along the National Park coastline and up around Boston Island as well, and they're pretty good sized gar. There's yellowfin whiting on the beaches, especially up between Tumby Bay and Port Neal, And offshore, down south of Port Lincoln, there's been some tuna down at the Cabbage Patch. Over at Coffin Bay, there's been garfish and salmon trout in the bay system, and Farm Beach is offering some King George whiting. Well, that's it for this week. We'll see you again with more fishing tips next week.
And for a look at your local weather, here's Britt Aylen.
Thanks, Louise, and good evening. 26 was the high at Broken Hill today, Port Pirie 25, Port Augusta 24, Whyalla and Port Lincoln 23. Patchy cloud about the region with a high pressure system to our north, keeping skies mostly clear, and a cold front sending low cloud and the odd shower across the coast. To tomorrow on the Gulf waters, southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots with seas at 1 metre. Sunrise 7 a.m. and sunset at 5 to 8. Mostly fine conditions expected with sunny skies over Port Augusta, Corn and Broken Hill, maximum sitting in the mid to late 20s. A top of 29 at Woodna, Port Augusta, Corn, Broken Hill and Port Pirie all 27, Kadina 26, Whyalla and Coffin Bay 24, Port Lincoln, Clare and Cleve 23. And temperatures are warming up a little for the weekend, remaining partly cloudy at Port Lincoln and Cleve with fairly consistent maximums. Woodna with a sunny start to the weekend, a top of 33 on Saturday, fine Sunday and Monday. Whyalla, Port Augusta and Kadina all sunny on Saturday with maximums ranging from the late 20s to the early 30s. Similar temperatures Sunday and Monday with partly cloudy conditions on the forecast. A sunny Saturday on the way for Port Pirie, Clare and Broken Hill, looking fine and partly cloudy on Sunday and into next week. And Louise, that brings us to the end of the weather, but before I go, I've got a little something for you. In just over a week, you'll be walking down the aisle, and on behalf of the team here at 7 Spencer Golf News, I'd like to wish you all the best for your upcoming wedding.
Oh, that is just so beautiful. How special. Thank you so much, Britt and the whole team. It's certainly a very exciting time. And that's your local news this Thursday evening. Thank you, as always, for joining us today. We'll have updates later. Until then, have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.